Between 1925 and 1926, Eleonora Zugan of Romania suffered attacks from an unseen presence. She was investigated by the sensationalist Harry Price, who filmed her during some of her attacks. Harry concluded that each time Eleonora was chastised for her beliefs, her skin would show scratches, welts, and bite marks. The movie The Entity was based on allegations of horrifying phenomena surrounding Doris Bither of Culver City, California. From 1974 to 1980, Bither was allegedly attacked and raped by an unseen presence. During a 10-week investigation by Los Angeles parapsychologist Carrie Gaynor and Barry Taff, she was seemingly attacked 15 times. Strange balls of light also began appearing in the house. One was captured on time-lapse camera by investigators. By the time the movie was released in theaters, the attacks had subsided. Investigators theorized these incidents were repressed incestual compulsions Doris felt for her eldest son. The speculative attacks on Tony Pickman of Atchison, Kansas have been recounted on Fox's Sightings and Discovery Channel's A Haunting. In 2002, Showtime produced the movie The Heartland Ghost, dramatizing the family's story. Shortly after the birth of Tony and Deborah Pickman's son in 1992, Tony claims he began to be scratched by the proposed discarnate consciousness named Sally. The ongoing case was investigated by paranormal investigators Al Robber and Howard Heim, who were convinced of the phenomenon.
I've had a couple cuts. I've had one on my back that kind of looked like an X or a cross. We couldn't tell. That one hurt, but it felt more like somebody punched me. And then I've had this one here that was pretty deep.
It was really deep in.
But I didn't even know it. That's why we made such a big thing about the cameras and the scratches. Because I said I can almost count on going over and being scratched.
We saw Tony get scratched. Not 30 minutes later, we were all sitting around the table here, reviewing evidence and talking about what had transpired. We pulled up the shirt on his back, and he had a fresh scratch right across that was bleeding.
So then, let me ask you, I am in the middle of the crawl space itself right now.
You're cut.
Evidence is suggestive that assaultive RSPK might be a psychogenic disorder, NOS, meaning physical symptoms originate in the mind or in the mental or emotional processes, having a psychological rather than a physiological origin. Psychogenic purpuras, for instance, is a rare and poorly understood clinical presentation of unexplained painful lesions or broken blood vessels that appear on the skin. Bruising and even cuts could appear in response to emotional turmoil. Cases of RSPK are always vulnerable to accusation that one or more family members are suspect of tricking investigators. As parapsychologist William Edward Cox reveals, it's expected that fraud will indeed take place during an investigation. He proposed the phrase imitative fraud to explain why agents imitate RSPK to satisfy the desires of investigators. The Columbus poltergeist case in 1984 centered around 14-year-old Christina Resch. The case was investigated by parapsychologist William Roll and displayed some of the more remarkable hallmarks of RSPK. Tina's foster father, John, couldn't find a source for the electrical problems. Her foster mother, Joan, couldn't get any of the children to admit to breaking glasses or moving items around the house. It was obvious something was going on in the home. Tina told Columbus Dispatch writer Mike Harden, "I just wanted to stop." Yet as she spoke, a telephone near her leaped through the air. She replaced it not once, but half a dozen times. Each time, as stunned visitors watched, it would again fling itself across the room. A cup of coffee flipped from a nearby table onto Tina's lap and then smashed against the fireplace. She moved to a love seat. An Afghan on the floor lifted itself into the air and flopped over her. Photographer Fred Shannon caught 2 pictures of a phone flying across Tina's lap. Lee Arnold, her caseworker, said after the incident, "Tina was facing me and I saw her hands. It really shook me up because I couldn't explain what was going on." Tina was caught faking activity. A news crew caught her turning a lamp over when they accidentally left their cameras running. On October 19, 1984, Roll tested Tina at the University of North Carolina. He set target objects on a table across the room and controlled Tina. Soon, objects on the table began to move.